I'm Claire Francis, welcome to the channel. Coming up in today's video, I have a Marks & Spencer's haul for you, but we're actually looking at knitwear trends. So I've got 6 trends in knitwear this autumn to talk to you about. Mixed in with showing you those trends with my M&SHaul, and I've got a few style tips as well for you. So hope you're going to enjoy the video. Let's go. So the first trend we're going to look at is texture. So texture is everywhere in knitwear this year, whether it's something like this fluffy jumper that I showed you the other week that we looked at when I did my shopping trip to Marks & Spencer's, or it's something like a mohair jumper. Texture is a big thing this year. Now I have a little bit of a problem with that because I'm not very good with wool, so some of these big fluffy mohairy type of jumpers I wouldn't be able to wear. But it's why I was quite pleased that I got this jumper, which you might have seen last week. This is from Marks & Spencer's, and it hasn't got wool in it, but it actually feels like it. It's quite substantial, it's quite thick and fluffy, quite warm, not too warm. I have worn it on autumn days recently and it's been fine. Now this was, I got it in a size small and it was £40. So not a cheap jumper by their standards, but it is really nice. And so for me, it's ideal. I'm a little bit sensitive to all those wool fibres. So it's nice to have a chunky jumper. Cable knit's very on trend, as I said. It's nice to have a chunky jumper that isn't going to irritate me. So this is the jumper here. You've seen it on several times before. I'll show you in the cutaways there. I'm really enjoying wearing this. The only downside is, I would say the knit is quite loose and open, so there is the potential to make holes in it. So I think you better be a little bit careful with things like your belt, you know, metallic things on the belt, because it could possibly make a hole. But other than that, I do like the texture. It feels really nice and soft. Haven't washed it yet. I do find with some of these fluffy type jumpers, especially the cream colour, they do tend to look a little bit grubby after a while, but I'll let you know how that does wash. But I do really like it, and obviously being this colour, neutral colour jumpers are essential for your autumn wardrobe. They really will go with anything, so I could wear any coat with this and I know it will go with it. The only exception might be a very tight fitting blazer, so that's the only thing I might not be able to fit it over, but it's an ideal colour. They also do it in the brown. So that's another colour if you don't want a very light cream, but I think that's a really nice jumper from Marks & Spencer's. So the second trend we're going to look at is patterned knits. Now, as I said, the best thing to have is quite a few plain knits in your wardrobe, but it's nice to have a few patterns now and then. Now, last year, the big sort of trend was Fairisle jumpers, and they are still around this year, but one pattern has sort of overtaken that, and that's the Argyle pattern. So I've got this jumper. I think originally they brought it out similar with a burgundy, and that sort of sold out, and the one they seem to have at the moment is this one, which is a sort of greyish colour with the black and the sort of creamy white there. It's a fairly short jumper. I actually got it in the size small because I know these jumpers are going to look, if they're cropped and they're wide, they just won't look right on my frame because I'm sort of more like an inverted triangle really. So anything big and boxy on the top half looks a bit ridiculous with my small hips and legs. So I tend to go for a smaller size. I think the first jumper was a small as well because again, that's quite a crop length. It's not a long jumper. So this is a small and it was £38. Now again, it doesn't have wool in it. It feels a bit like wool. In fact, it feels quite a lot like wool, but it's mainly polyamide, I think, and acrylic. So it is a synthetic material, but I did like the pattern. The colours in it as well, obviously, are very versatile. If we're wearing lots of greys and beiges and things like that, browns, black, it will go with quite a few things, I think. So I thought that was quite versatile. So I'll show you that on. So this is the jumper on. So this is the small, as I said. So on me, the small comes up to just below my waist. I have got it quite fitted here. I do like jumpers to be fitted. Now, probably to look a bit cooler, I should have it a bit looser. The trouble with the medium is, as I said, if it ends up being like boxy, then that's not going to suit me. Now, it's a really nice warm feeling fabric. It's quite fluffy, but as I said, there's no wool in there. So that's not going to be too bad for people who have a wool sensitivity, that you're going to be fine with that, I think. So it looks very modern. If you want something just to up your game a little bit in terms of being a little bit on trend, then something like this is a good idea. They do a cardigan version as well, so if you want it in the cardigan, I think it's slightly different shades, but it's a nice jumper, feels really comfortable on, definitely quite warm and substantial. And just to say, animal print is also in fashion for knitwear this year as well, so you will see a few of those jumpers. The third trend is knitted tank tops or vests or knitted waistcoats, whatever you like to call them. So the sleeveless type jumpers. So I've got one here from Marks and Spencer's that demonstrates it. This is just a very plain sort of beigey brown, light brown. You can see it's got the ribbing around the side there, and with the collar there, it's a V-neck. Again, quite a short length. I did actually get this, let's see what size I got this in. This was a medium. I was a little bit worried that if it's going to go over other things, the small would look very tight. So I've tried this in a medium. I do like it. It's nice, again, it's a nice feeling knit, but I don't think it has wool in it. I'll put the composition on the screen. I'm not sure if it's got any, but I think it's mainly synthetic, but it does have a nice feel. It does feel like some of those wool jumpers, so there may be a little bit in there. I do really like it. This plain one will obviously be more versatile and will go with anything. I did also like this one from Jules that I showed you a couple of weeks ago. However, my partner won't let me buy it because he says it's a bit ridiculous, somebody of my age having pictures of animals and things on their jumpers, but it's quite a fun one. They do various ones like this in this range, but I thought that was nice as well. But being more practical, something like this is a bit more realistic, so we'll have a look at what that looks like on. Actually, I can show you an outfit that I've actually worn that in with, so you know, that's the sort of thing I'd wear it with, a shirt and then jeans. That, you know, nice casual outfit, and it has a nice relaxed feel. I do like that style, a little bit retro. That's what people were wearing in the 70s and things, but that is on trend at the moment, so have a look for those knitted vests. This one was price wise, oh, it's £23, so a reasonable price there for that, but did like that item. So the fourth trend is peplum jumpers and cardigans. Now I haven't got one in my haul here, but I've been trying on a few recently. So you might remember this one I tried on a couple of weeks ago. It's a really nice jumper, or cardigan rather. It has those little buttons all the way down. And the good thing about this is because it's got lots of buttons, it doesn't sort of gape over your bust or anything. And it does fit nicely at the waist and then come out a little bit, almost like a peplum. It came in this colour, and I think it was a sort of brown, dark brown colour as well, and I think it was very popular. However, I decided on me it was a little bit too tight, the small, and a little bit maybe bigger on the medium, and I thought the actual colour looked a little bit faded. It looked like if you washed it a couple of times it might look a bit tired, so in the end I did send that back, although I did really like it. But I also tried on this one as well. Now this one was a really nice knitted top actually. I did like it with the buttons down and the little flat pockets there. It had a really nice shape, came in and out. So it was quite flattering in a way, but I made the mistake of trying it on with a very slim slip skirt, and it just didn't look right on me. My shape is more, you know, wider at the top and then narrower at the bottom, and it seemed to accentuate that. So what I tried it on with really didn't do it any favours, but I could see the potential of it. And obviously if you're a little bit concerned about your tummy, the idea is that little flare out could hide it a little bit. But I think you need to be careful then what you wear on the lower half to make sure it doesn't look a bit strange with the proportions there. But that was a lovely top. I'll put the price on the screen there. I did like that. It came in the brown. I think it comes in a green as well. But as I said, I need to go back and investigate, maybe try it on with some other things before I decided to maybe potentially get one of those type of jumpers or cardigans. But peplum is very popular, and it can be very, very flattering if you wear it correctly. And the fifth trend is the scarf jumper or cardigan. Now, do you remember last year there were these coats that were very on trend with the attached scarf? Well, this year they've decided to do that with jumpers and cardigans. So Marks and Spencer's have brought out one, so I'll show you. It's this one, which is a nice plain dark grey cardigan. I'll show you without the scarf portion first of all. So it's just a fairly simple button-up cardigan. You can see quite nice buttons there. It does have a little bit of wool in it. I think it's 5% wool. I'll put the composition on the screen for you. I did get it in a medium because with a cardigan I didn't want it pulling over the bust, and it was £36. So that's the basic cardigan. It does feel like nice quality material actually. Then we've got this scarf which is attached with a button round the back. So there's a button, it is detachable, just has a little button at the back here, and you've got this nice long scarf in the same fabric, obviously. So the idea is you can, you know, style that in different ways over your shoulder or whatever, and it acts as a scarf, and then you can just put your coat over the top. But you've got that sort of matching look of a scarf and a cardigan. Now, I don't know what you think about that. Do you think it's a little bit of a gimmick, or do you think it's something that does actually have good style potential? I thought I'd buy it to try, but I'm not sure. I'll show you what that's like on. So this is the cardigan on. You can see it's a very plain, quite high crew neck there with the buttons. Coming up quite short. It's virtually sort of just tiny bit below my waist there, not a lot below. And I'm not sure about these bits here, whether they're supposed to be like that, or whether because I've gone up to the medium, it just is a little bit big. But the material feels very nice quality, I have to say. I'd say it's got a little bit of wool in it. Does feel nice. It's not itching me at the moment. I haven't got anything underneath, but if I was going to wear it all day, I would put something underneath that. But very nice. So let's have a look at the scarf. Let's see what we can do with the scarf. So let's get it round. It's attached at the back, as I said, with a little button. So how would I wear this? Let's have a look. Try and do a bit of styling with it. So potentially you could just wear it like that, just down loose, but I think the idea is probably you do something like this. Let's just have a little play with it. Yeah, something like that. So there, I can still see the buttons there, but I've got the scarf there, and then I could put my jacket or coat over it, and I'd already have the scarf there attached. I wouldn't need to worry about losing it or anything. So again, does it have potential, or is it just a bit of a gimmick? But nice quality, nice feeling fabric. So I'm not sure about the sizing there. Under the arms it seems a little bit big. I don't know if that's just because it is the medium, but really interesting. You know, it is something different. Sometimes some of you say to me, oh, you know, some of these things, it's all the same old neutral colours, everything's a bit boring. But actually, although this is a neutral colour, it has got a completely different design detail. So let me know what you think of it. And then the sixth trend is embellished knitwear. So obviously we're coming into the festive season, so there's going to be a lot of embellishment, but even before the festive season, embellishment is quite on trend still. For example, I tried on this really nice little cardigan. It's sort of a raspberry colour with the pearl buttons down, and actually that was really nice. I think I tried on the small there, which was maybe a tiny bit tight. The only thing I didn't like about it was the way it's designed. There is a slight gap between the two sides of the cardigan where the pearl buttons are. It's designed like that, so you would have to be careful what you wore underneath. But again, that's almost a little bit of a peplum, not quite, but you know, it does go in. It's a fitted style and then come out a little bit. So it could be very flattering that, and I did like the colour of that. I'll put the price on the screen there. That was a lovely jumper. So now what we're going to do is I've filmed some footage of me going and shopping in Marks and Spencer's, focusing on the knitwear. So as we go around the store and look at the knitwear, I want you to see if you can pick out one of those 6 trends. Most of the items that I'll show you actually fall into one or even 2 of those categories. So have a look at this. enjoyed that little look around the shops there. Did you spot all the trends that we were talking about? Most of the items, as I said, fitted into one of those categories. So hope you enjoyed looking at that. Now I'm going to give you a couple of other tips. So there's a couple of other items I picked up from Marks and Spencer's and one from Crew Clothing, which is sort of another bonus trend, which is the layering of knitwear and things. So first of all, I just want to show you a couple of tops. Now these are the thermal vest tops from Marks and Spencer's. I've shown you them before, but I just wanted to show you, these are the medium sort of strength. They do a short sleeve one, if that's something you like. Sometimes people don't like the very long sleeve tops. For example, if you like to wear 3/4 length sleeves, you might find you only really want a short top there. These are ideal, number one, for keeping you warm, but number two, for just keeping the knitwear away from your skin. So if you do have any sensitivities to the texture or the wool or whatever fabric, then it minimises that because you're not actually in contact with the fabric of the jumper. So they're ideal little tops in the winter. And I did spot that they were bringing it out in a different colour. They've got a burgundy one this year. So I thought, what a great piece. Now these are nice enough to use as actual tops under things like a blazer. You can't, you know, they're a nice enough, thick enough quality. You don't even need to use anything else on top. So I thought that was a good little top there. They're inexpensive. I'll put the price on the screen. They're not something like 14, 15, 16 pounds, something like that. I'll put the price on the screen. Really nice fabric, nice and body fitting, so they don't add a lot of extra bulk, and they're ideal under knitwear. And then one other item I got, this is from Crew Clothing, but just to show the point, this is a little top, similar, although a lighter fabric, but it has the little frill collar and it has the frill detail at the sleeves. So you can put that under a crew neck jumper and then you get the nice little white layer at the top there and on the cuffs. That little idea of tipping at the top with a different colour, you know, like a cream, a neutral colour, and on the cuffs is a very on-trend thing at the moment. So I'll show you how that looks on. So this is the little frill top. You can see the collar there and you can see on the sleeves. So this is the effect it gives. You can have it out at the bottom if you want or tuck it in. It just adds that little style detail that makes it look a little bit more elevated than this, just the jumper on its own. So as I said, you could either have worn the shirt like I did earlier under it or this little top. I'm definitely keeping this little top because I've actually got makeup on it. That's the only problem with having a cream top when you're somebody that likes to wear quite a bit of foundation. So unfortunately, yes, I will be keeping it. It was actually £20 in the Crew Clothing sale. It's a nice cotton top. Not quite as stretchy and fitted as the vest tops I showed you a minute ago, but it is very nice. And I think this sort of plain colour, you could wear that with any jumper, couldn't you really? And it just gives that nice little extra detail. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to my videos yet, but you do watch them regularly, please could you press the subscribe button? It really helps the channel to grow. And give me a thumbs up if you could, that would be great. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next week. So have a good week and I'll see you then. Goodbye.